Hey guys, it's Misty Burmeister here. Last week we started a series, an 8-series long of videos on how do you give and receive candid, compassionate feedback that's guaranteed to provoke greatness in others and in yourself. And so we kind of give a foundation for the two different types of candid, compassionate feedback: sweet feedback and sour feedback. So sweet feedback is feedback that points out what's working. Think of it as behaviors that you want to have repeated. And then there's sour feedback. This is feedback that points out what's not working, why it's not working, and what might be done differently to get a better result. Now, in last week's video, I distinguished it's important not to mix up sour feedback with destructive feedback. Take a quick look at the video if you haven't yet seen that part. Really important element to the sweet and sour part of the process. So factor number one is know your intentions. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing why you want to give another person feedback. Such a critical step to take before doing it, right? The second factor in the process is know your risk tolerance. It's common. It's expected, really, for sour feedback to at least temporarily bruise the ego. As a result, it's sometimes difficult as a receiver of the feedback to not get defensive or take things personally and then get defensive, or to get out of the way of our natural reaction to, I didn't do a good enough job, or all the different things that come up inside of our mind when it feels like we've been sucker punched in the stomach because we didn't do something right, because we're still trying to learn and grow as human beings, which is a part of the journey, which is why it's so important to become even more effective at both receiving as well as giving. In fact, real quick side note, the better you get at receiving, which will be the second part that we talk about, the far more effective you'll be at giving candid, compassionate feedback. Why? Very simply. The more you experience the challenge of receiving feedback, the more you know what that kind of feels like. So you adjust the way that you say things to have a better impact on the person that you're striving to help. So know your risk tolerance. Am I willing to take the time that's needed to really help them reach success? Am I willing to take the risk of the possibility that they could get defensive? And you guys have all had that experience with somebody who gets defensive, and to not get defensive back, it's energy consuming. It takes time and it takes energy. So am I willing to take that risk is such a critical element. And so if you're not and you do it anyway, what often happens for other people is they end up stewing, trying to figure out, what did I do wrong? Why did I do it wrong? And then they never actually figure out a better way to do things that will help them to get better results. And isn't that the reason why you set out to give them the feedback in the first place, is to help them to grow? All right, so, and help them to get even better results, and maybe even help your entire organization, your team, to get even better results. But if they can't receive it initially, they still need the support. Ultimately, they need to know that you're committed to helping them to grow. So before you give another person feedback, consider asking the person this question: is now a good time? Right? This puts them in the driver's seat. It also gives you a chance to make sure that the feedback that you're giving them is in the best possible conditions, right? And another element of this is giving the feedback as close to in person as possible is ideal, right? So in person, on Skype or FaceTime, and then the final order of preference would be on the phone. So factor number one, know your intentions. Factor number two, to provoking greatness, to giving candid, compassionate feedback that's guaranteed to provoke greatness in others, know your risk tolerance. And put that time and energy in to getting to know the person, to getting to know what their hopes and dreams are, and then sharing with them and helping them to grow to get to where they are. All right, so next week we're going to talk about the third factor in the giving candid, compassionate feedback process. The third factor is allow time for recovery. Allow time for recovery. I'll go a little bit more into detail on this next week. Looking forward to seeing you there. If you found this video to be helpful, or these series of videos, please share them with your clients, your colleagues, your bosses, share. And also, if you have ideas, thoughts around feedback, put them right below. I would love to hear your thoughts. There's nothing more special for me than having a conversation about this topic. It's just so critical. We all want to activate our potential. It's just that it's nearly impossible to do by ourselves. This is where you come into the picture, by helping them to see how great they really are, and also becoming even more aware of your own greatness. Here's to your greatness.